This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. Tuesday, was it morning, afternoon?
Morning, yeah.
In between.
In between.
I'm joined by Archie Sharp, MTK's very own.
How you doing, mate?
Alright, what are you doing with your hair? Right.
I don't.
I always ask you about your hair.
I know, do you know what it is? Everyone gives me a stick now about my hair. I've just started saying now, no.
What are you doing with it though?
I don't know, mate. Well, I don't know. Do you know what? After the Tommy gun left hook, you know what I mean? I've gone for the Tommy gun mullet, no?
It's alright.
It's getting there. It's better than the perm, I suppose.
Don't know, I didn't mind the perm to be honest with you.
Oh, well, cheers, someone's with my son.
Yeah, let's just reflect on your last performance against Declan Geraghty.
Yes.
Had a chance to kind of watch it back and assess the fight as a whole.
Yeah, I have watched the fight back. It was a lovely shot, obviously, to finish the night. There was a few questions that needed answering. The first couple of rounds, obviously, myself was slow getting into the fight, but it's part of boxing, isn't it? That's why you have 10 and 12 rounds.
Just kind of, when you look through your record now, you're accumulating decent names on your record from, you know, the Woodstock fight to Macquarie now to Geraghty. Your level of opposition
It's definitely up.
is kind of keeping where it's at. So you just want to keep. There's still more names you're going to chase there in the division, clearly, because there's still the likes of Zelfa Barrett, which has been talked about, Sam Bowen.
Yeah.
These names are on the hit list, I'm assuming.
Yeah, of course, 100%. These names are on the hit list. Obviously, I was out in Dubai with MTK, and we've had a little chat about a few things, and just trying to get the best fights really for myself, because I want to go world level. I let Barrett and Bowen fight, and I'll have the winner of them. Hopefully in that sort of time I'll have climbed up more in the WBA. I'm 7th at the minute. I'll climb up a little bit more, and hopefully as well gain an IBF or a WBA or something as well in the meantime, to climb them rankings as well.
I like the way you've kind of done things over the last 18 months or so. You've not kind of come out of nowhere, but you're suddenly now, because you're fighting recognised names, you're on the lips of more people now, and people are starting to take note of exactly what you can do.
Yeah, well, exactly that. Yeah, no, that's fair. That's a fair comment. And at the end of the day, at the start, when I was coming through the box, and everyone was saying to me, Archie, like, why is everyone else being talked about more than yourself? For example, Woodstock and these others. I said, well, the thing is, I'm only young, so I'm only 24 now. So I said, when my time will come, I will be there, but I will stay there. A lot of these fighters get there quick, and then they're there for a little while, and then they just fade and go. So it's just about timing, and I've been slowly building, and I've been a pro now 4 years, so I've been building slowly, and yeah, my name's getting there now, and then we'll just keep climbing the ladder and stay there.
So what I really kind of wanted to touch on you with today was, I think throughout your career, you've brought awareness to mental health and the fact that you have a mind coach that you've had for the last, what, 4 years?
Until I turned pro, yeah.
Yeah, for the last 4 years. So, yeah, just kind of take me back to when you turned pro. What was kind of going on at that stage of your life before you brought in a mind coach?
Well, so basically, what it was at the beginning, what it was back when I was about 18, 19 year old as an amateur, I was in a bit of a bad place. I didn't obviously know about mental health back then. It was just, I just thought, just being moody. I was always in a bad mood. People didn't want to be around me. I was always snapping at people. I just wasn't in a good place, and I had a bad decision in the senior ABAs that was kind of my fault anyway. I could have won it, but I didn't box to my full potential, which obviously cost me the fights. And I ended up just giving boxing up for a little while, and then I bumped into Linda, come across Linda, should I say, when I was 19, 20 year old. And then since that day I've worked with her, and I've turned my life around a bit. And this is where I go on to mental health, because it's all about your mind. And if your mind gets the better of you, it's very easy to fall down that dark hole.
Why, we'll relate this to boxing more specifically, but why are not more people in boxing speaking out about it? We have people like, obviously, Tyson Fury, that's obviously very vocal about mental health. the likes of yourself, and there's a couple of other people. Ricky Hatton spoke about it as well, what he's been through. But why isn't there enough people kind of talking about it and possibly talking about situations and positions that they're in themselves? Is it like a weakness thing? Is it a sign of like a pride thing? What is it for you?
Well, I think it's only recently, this sort of generation, that people are actually coming out with it. Like I said before, with being around my dad, my uncles, my granddad, they was all tough men. There was no crying in the house. Do you know what I mean? It was all there wasn't none of that really. So talking about being you're not mentally strong is a sign of weakness, I think, and I think people just shrug it off, and I did as well. Growing up, I did shrug it off. I was like, no, there's nothing wrong with me, nothing wrong with me. And then one day I just broke, and I thought, you know what, I need to go and see someone, and it was the best thing I've ever done. And that's why I like talking about it, because I think if you don't talk about it and you hold it up and you bottle it up, then that's when it eats away at you more. So talking to people and talking about it more helps.
I think you kind of, obviously from last week, it was World Mental Health Day last week, and it's one of these things that comes around every year and everyone kind of talks about it. And I'm not saying they forget it for the other 364 days of the year, but there is a slight element of they talk about it on that day, but then when that finishes, it's like, are we then going to bring awareness to it the next time it comes around? It should be something that's talked about every day.
Every day, 100%.
I mean, it's good that they bring a day to it, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying it's important not to kind of forget that people are going through it, not just one day of the year, which is true.
100% true, and that's why me and Linda have done workshops at the gym. We're definitely picking up on it a lot more now, for young kids and just anyone really. It's more so much kids at the minute because of the whole social media sort of things. Obviously it's open to everyone, but we've been getting a lot more kids coming to these little workshops, because I think they're suffering more because they don't realise this social media, mate. It's a terrible world, and I've seen some young kids at 13, ain't even 14, and they ain't even got social media because of the bullying they're getting on there, and then that puts them into some sort of mental health, like depression or something, and it's just a shame. So that's why me and Linda are trying to get it out there as much as possible. So
it is one of the drawbacks of the modern world, that as the biggest things that come out of, like, the change, if you like, of our generation over the last 20 years is the internet, social media, all this, and the drawbacks of it are they're quite brutal, because we've seen circumstances over many situations where people have killed themselves. You're right, bullying ultimately will kind of lead into depression and aspects of mental health, and it's just the start. But social media has played a part in the modern society of that. But is there an answer to that? I mean,
no, there isn't. I think this is why we do these workshops, because I think once you can start, basically I'm learning every day about how powerful the mind is. Once you can start seeing how powerful it is and trying to get in control of your own mind, then you can try and come away from falling into that hole. Do you know what I mean? It's hard to explain, because basically, for example, if I'm going on social media every day and I'm looking at people commenting about my hair, because I get it all the time, always give me stick. If I let that eat away at me and keep reading all the negatives, then I'm going to end up concentrating on the negatives all the time. So the minute I go on my phone, or the minute I wake up, it's just constantly going to be in my head to see what other people are saying, and then all of a sudden I've now slipping into that hole where I'm depressed now, because I'm worrying about what everyone else is thinking. So that's why I'm always trying to be in control of my mind as much as possible, even when it comes to my fights, everything. Just even like I say, everyday life, I try and do it with my kids now, just to make sure that they can grow up learning how powerful the mind is. And if you can kind of, like I say, like train it, if you need to train your mind 100%. If you can train it and you can be aware of how powerful it is, you can go a long way. But then also, if you let it control you, you can fall into a very dark hole.
I think you touched on a good thing there, that people might kind of make a comment about your hair, which you can literally just brush off and laugh it off. Like, you smile there, because it doesn't really mean anything. Someone's having a pop at your hair.
Exactly.
But for some people, like an attack on their appearance could lead into other things because they have insecurities about themselves.
Yeah.
And could be the start of something. And I think people don't kind of realise that when they're doing it. Some people do realise that and they do it anyway, who are pretty much scumbags. But I'm saying there's some people that kind of don't know the negative effect of kind of going on social media and just being either negative or attacking someone because you don't know what kind of mindset that person's in.
Exactly
doing that. You're commenting on someone's picture that you don't know.
No.
And that comment could tip the balance for them that day. That's the truth.
That's the bottom line of it, and that's how powerful, and that's what I'm trying to say. Like all these people that I don't understand that they're on there and they're giving stick to people about how they look, what they say, what they do, and then people don't realise the negative effect it does cause on them people, and it can, and like you say, unfortunately, people have lost their lives over it. And that's how serious it is, and that's why I think people have got to talk about it, wake up to what's happening. And the idiots who are giving out the stick, the people who are receiving the bad comments, they've just got to try and learn to deal with them and ignore the idiots. Do you know what I mean? Just ignore them and just like say brush it off. Because if you don't, then it's bad.
Once it sets in,
it sets.
Yeah.
And then it's hard to get out of it. And that's why seeing Linda was the best thing I ever done, because it's very easy to think of negative things. You know what I mean? It's very easy. It could be over money. It could be anything. And if you just let your mind run away with it, it can just take over, and then that's when you end up being in a bad way. And some people seem to drugs, some people seem to drink, to try and brush it away.
I think what people do need to realise it's not something that is even up for debate or it's not facts. People have committed suicide due to social media.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
To the negatives of social media. That's happened. That's not something that we think happens. That has happened. It's happened to quite a few TV reality stars that have come off Love Island over the last couple of years, which was well publicised. And I think that, I don't know, in my head, I think people don't quite register that this actually happens, but it does, and that's how severe it is.
And they're the ones that you're seeing on TV. Now you've got to remember all the ones, there's young kids in schools that are doing it. There's people obviously who are not even famous.
Yeah.
So they're not getting, then it's not being recognised, do you know what I mean? Because it happens every day. There is someone taking a life. Like, there was a young kid at one of my old secondary school done it, do you know what I mean? Just because he's getting bullied at school. And this is all part of mental health, and someone's getting bullied, and then that's it, then they're in a hole, and then the only way out is they think they're going to take their lives, do you know what I mean? Because they haven't spoken to people, and trying to work in a way of getting around it and overcoming it. That's why talking about it is the best thing to do for mental health. I really do believe so. And when you've got tough men like Tyson Fury, the big fighting man, do you know what I mean? And he comes out and he tells people that he's been suffering it, it kind of opens up eyes to people that hiding it is the worst thing to do. Do you know what I mean? He's a big man, he's a fighting man, and he's even turned around and said, look, listen, I'm struggling, I've struggled in the past. Same with me, I've struggled, do you know what I mean? And doesn't mean you're weak, doesn't mean you're weak at all. But
someone who comes across as very alpha male in Tyson Fury and kind of was deemed as a man's man.
Yeah, exactly that.
If someone like that, someone like Tyson can come out and be so open about kind of what he's been through and put that message out there that, you know, it's okay not to be okay slogan that's always kind of put about, which is very true. If he can do it, then that's kind of, it opens it up for everyone to think, well, hang on, this man's doing it, or this man can talk about it, why can't I?
Exactly that, and that's kind of, it's a great message. Like say, someone like Tyson Fury to do it, it's unbelievable, because I've been doing this for the last 4 or 5 years, and where I haven't got a big profile like Tyson. So when I'm trying to get it out to certain people, it's not getting out there because of my social media. And like I say, his profile's massive, and that's why someone like Tyson, who's been through it, to get it out there for everyone can then see it now, and it's just gone massive. And I think since that's happened, more people are talking about it, and more people are comfortable coming out. And trying to just get help and go and see people. And honestly, I can't stress to people how important it is to talk. I can't stress to it, because that's the best thing I ever done. Bottling it up was the worst thing I ever done. I was hurting people around me, not physically, but just emotionally. Do you know what I mean? People didn't want to be around me because I just want a nice person to be around because I just bottled it up so much and I was just such an angry person.
How kind of, you're 24 years old,
Yeah.
so obviously this happened in kind of your
stages,
kind of the end of your teen years, if you like, into your 20s. But how serious did it get for you? Was there, without kind of sugarcoating it, did you have thoughts of like suicide and things like that? Did it get that serious for you or not?
No, no, because with me, my dad has always, when I've grown up through my life, my dad's always said about being mentally strong. That's something he's always said, you've always got to be mentally strong, blah, blah. So, even though I was hurting inside, I would never got that low because the thing is, when you do that, you're hurting everyone around you.
Yeah.
But
I've got effects.
Exactly,
yeah.
It's a knock-on effect.
Yeah.
I've got my mum, I've got my brothers, sisters. Do you know what I mean? I've got a big family, and even though when I did get low, I was still in a bad way. Just because I didn't want to kill myself didn't mean that I wasn't struggling. Yeah. I was still in a very bad way. I just didn't want to socialise with anyone, and I was upset all the time. When I was on my own, I'd just cry, and because when I was around people, crying wasn't even though I wanted to, because I wanted to, and I was around people, I just get angry with everyone else around me because it was myself who wanted to be upset, but I wouldn't allow myself to be upset. Yeah. So I just take it out on everyone else and be angry. But yeah, like I say, now I never got as low to take my life, but you can see why people do it. You can 100% see why people do it because 100%. It's. Do you know what I mean? And that's the bottom line of it. And that's why I stress to get out to people about how important this is because, like I say, I wasn't in that position where I was going to do that, but you can definitely see how suicide has led to it.
Do you know what? What you just said there is that you're kind of fortunate enough to have a mindset that you can think about your kids, your mum, your dad, brothers and sisters. You can see what that would do to them. But people are unfortunate enough to be in a position where they don't see that. So they're kind of one-tracked into thinking that this is the only way, and they don't see that. Once you don't see what you can see, then you're in a big problem.
And that's the problem. Yeah. I never got as bad to not see anyone else. Where these other people out there, because they're getting the abuse or whatever it is that's happening in their life, it's getting that bad for them that they can't see any other way out, and they don't think of anyone else because they're in such a bad place. They're only thinking of themselves, and then they end up going and do something unfortunate. Do you know what I mean? And then, like you say, it's a knock-on effect to the family and everyone else. And even if you don't know the people, like you say, the people in Love Island have gone and done it. It's still upsetting to see and hear. And I watched the thing on the telly of the girl out of Little Mix and the stuff that she's been suffering, and people texting her just go and die and things like that. And you think, what are these scummy people? How low can they want to go to say that to people just because of the way she looks or the way she sings or whatever? Do you know what I mean? It's just people, you can't get your nut round
something that has no impact on their life whatsoever.
Exactly. And that's why when I hear these stories, I love to talk to a lot of these people and try and just talk to them and say, listen, do you know what? Forget everyone else. You just got to do your own thing, be you, and not care what all this social media is like. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's frustrating for me because when I see and hear these stories of people in these bad situations, I just want to give them the help and be able to talk to them or do something. Do you know what I mean? Just to get them through it because no one should suffer mental health.
Someone said to me probably, I don't know, a few years ago, they said that people who commit suicide are selfish. And listening to what you're saying there, I understand. I don't agree with what they're saying.
No, but you can understand.
But I can understand what they're saying because they're saying that if you're kind of selfish enough to, like I said,
leave your kids, leave your
you're
things.
Not here anymore, but you're leaving everything around you to go through all that kind of pain and misery, and I get that. But as we've just said there, there's people out there that don't see that, so they don't look at it like they're doing something selfish because it's not registering.
And that's the same. I was that same person a few years ago. Do you know what I mean? Because when I hear someone's done something, that's just selfish. Because what about the kids? What about the family? Right. But then, that's your first instant reaction. But then when you sit back and think, hang on a minute, what was they going through for them to do that?
Yeah. How bad is your life?
Have been, things
how
must
bad
have been
is your life?
Eating them up for them to go and do that. And then so when people say, that's selfish, Do you know what I mean? I don't agree with that, but you can understand people's opinion there. But then what you've got to realise is, hang on a minute, sit back and think, that person's gone and done that. They must have been in, they don't want to leave their kids, they don't want to leave their families, but they've just got in such a bad mess. That's the only way out. And then that's why I just want this is so important for mental health to be spoken about, to just help as many people, because what happens is they turn to the drugs or the drink, and that's it. That what happens then is the drink and the drugs overtake.
Yeah.
So they're getting it, they're upset. Oh, I want to kill myself. And they think, do you know what? They probably haven't got it in them to do it. But the minute they start doing drugs and drink, that's it. Then you're out of control. And then the drink and the drugs take over, and then boom, something happens. You know what I mean?
So what you learn with Linda, your mind coach, is, listen, realistically, we're not going to change the world, as in, we're not going to stop people from posting things, and it's not always about social media, because it's about real life in general as well.
Yeah, papers, everything.
Exactly, but we're not going to stop that effectively in our generation. It's not impossible.
Probably going to get worse.
Exactly, it probably was going to get worse. So I'm assuming what you're telling me is, the idea behind having a mind coach is to, if you can't kind of change that, you change yourself.
Yourself, and that's the best way.
You change yourself to adapt to it.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. You train yourself to be more confident. You train yourself to be the best person you can be mentally. Because listen, that's why boxing is so important. I'm physically fit all the time. I'm in the gym all the time. But next to that, you've got to be mentally fit. You have to be mentally fit. And this is the bottom line with me and Linda. What we try and do in these workshops is, the social media is going to get worse. Everything's going to get worse. You're never going to stop bullying. You're never going to stop it all. So that's just facts. But what you can do is you can stop yourself from falling into that bad place by being mentally strong, by ignoring the comments, by, do you know what I mean, overcoming it and talking about it, going to see a counsellor. Do you know what I mean? I know people who've told me, oh, Arch, I'm not in a good place, and then I say to them, listen, if you don't want to talk to me, go and talk to a stranger. Go and talk to someone you don't know. And I'm telling you now, it's the best thing you ever do, because you can just rub it on for hours to someone you don't even know. You probably won't even see them again, or you might do, and you feel so much better for it. And people don't realise, until you go and talk, you don't realise how much it helps. And that's why what we've all got to do, everyone, is be as strong mentally as we possibly can to just ignore these idiots. Because 9 times out of 10, the comments that you see on this social media are just idiots. They're probably just sitting on their couch. People would tell me, they give me abuse about my boxing, they probably never boxed in their life. Do you know what I mean? They've probably seen my fight once, Archie's this, Archie's that. If I played on that, I'd just laugh at it. Do you know what I mean? I just laugh at it.
Where do you think, and it's a bit of a difficult question to probably answer, but could you give us kind of an indication where you think you would be without that mind coaching that you've had for the last few years?
It's a very difficult question, but I do believe if I wasn't with Linda, then my talent's good. I'm a very good fighter. I've always been a good fighter. But I don't think mentally I would have been able to cope with the pressures. Because turning pro is major pressure. Having kids, financial stuff, everything's pressure in life. And I don't think, without being with Linda, I wouldn't have been mentally strong enough to have coped with that. So I don't know where I would have been. Whether I'll still be in boxing now, I don't really know. But it's the best thing I've ever done, was being with Linda and being with a mind coach and mentally strong. Because boxing has so much pressures. There's so many people that put time and money into it. Unfortunately, I've got very good sponsors around me, but do you know, they're putting money into me, and that's a pressure on its own, because you think to yourself, if you lose this fight, what happens next? Do you know what I mean? It's the unknown with boxing. Nobody knows what happens with boxing. You could be on the top, and then 1 or 2 fights you've forgotten about. And that's a massive pressure on its own, because sometimes I dedicate my life to boxing, but I'm so mentally strong, I know I'm going to the top, and I'm going to be good, and I'm going to be well. But there are others out there who haven't got that mind coach or that mindset, and unfortunately they do fall. And like I say, who knows where I'd have been, but I don't think I'd be doing as well as I am now, and in this fortunate position to be in.
Someone who I will mention, and we've spoken about kind of Fury, yourself, and like Ricky Hatton, but someone who's kind of been a long-term kind of pusher of this very important issue has been Leon McKenzie, who's kind of been very open about kind of his life, and he's kind of still pushing this now. He's actually one of the most active people that there is that addresses mental health on a constant daily basis, and I think people like him, and like I said, people with any kind of profile, it's important for them to do that, because like you said, we're putting Fury on a kind of a world different kind of level. So someone like him to talk about it, and Leon and yourself and everyone else, that's a positive thing.
Yeah, because like you said, the more people with the big profiles, it then gets out to everyone. Do you know what I mean? Like I say, I've been doing this for 4 or 5 years now, and where I haven't got a massive profile, not as many people is hearing it as much as I want them to. Yeah. So all the people who have got the massive profiles, I just appreciate you all getting together and just sharing it. So the people, it comes across to all audiences. Do you know what I mean? It comes across to young kids. It comes across to men, women, all different audiences. So just get the message out there as much as we can, and we need to, because it's just going to get worse with the social everything. Do you know what I mean? And if people don't start getting the better of it now, people are just going to lose more and more lives. I do believe that, and that's the reality of it. It's a shame, and I don't like saying it, but if we don't crack it and fight it, then yeah, there's going to be more and more lives lost because of it.
How much depression do you think is in boxing within boxers? Would
Loads.
you say it was a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot.
Loads. Because the thing is, like I say, there's so much pressure. You're fighting. If you're fighting on TV, you've got millions of people watching you. You've been dedicating your life to the sport. You've got sponsors. You've got promoters. You've got a management team. You've got you've got trainers. You've got loads of people putting their time into you, and it's down to that night. Do you know what I mean? Like I say, you can be on top of the pedestal, and then a couple of bad fights, boom, you're forgotten about, and then they move on to the next person. That's how brutal the sport is. And it's the same. I think that's the same with any sports, though. Really, if you're an elite athlete and you're at the top, and you have a couple of slip ups, it's very you could easily be forgotten about, and that's the life we live. You know what I mean? That's just brutal. That's how it is. So that's why you have to be on your A game.
I mean, talking about actually what you're talking about is a potential opponent for you in the future. Zelfa Barrett kind of was very highly praised early on in his career, was kind of tipped to be one of the kind of top stars, which he still will be. Zelfa suffers a shock defeat to Ronnie Clark, and he's almost fallen right down the pecking order. Now he's had to build his way back up,
and he has
done absolutely. But he's spent a good year of his kind of career kind of being put up there to suffering a shock defeat to as game as Ronnie Clark is. He was expected to beat Ronnie Clark.
Yes.
But now he's, like I said, he's had to suffer that, to know what that's like, to build himself back up, which he's virtually thereabouts there.
Exactly that. And that's why I never rushed my career. The first 4 years was the most important bit, because you need to get a solid foundation. There's a lot of fighters, like you say, they turn over because they've had a very good amateur pedigree. I had a very good amateur pedigree myself. Do you know what I mean? Probably one of the best out there, really. And I didn't get the attention like the Barretts and everyone else, Woodstock. But it didn't bother me, because I knew what I needed to do. I needed to get a solid foundation, and I build myself up. And now I'm in a position where, like I say, I ain't gonna fall. I'm here to stay, and I'm here to just keep progressing, going to the top, and then once I'm at the top, I'll stay there. It's all about timing, and that's perfect. I can't stress that anymore. It's been a great game plan. Like people used to ring me up and say, Arch, why aren't you ringing Frank? Why aren't you ringing MTK? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? I said, listen, it's all in good time. It's all in good time, and fortunately, I'm in a very good position now, and we just keep progressing.
Okay. Well, listen, Archie, very much appreciate you taking time out to speak to me today. And yeah, it's interesting, because I think the stuff you're talking about does get spoken about, but not enough. And I think it's kind of important to, obviously, we can talk boxing all day long. We can talk about the next fight and up and coming fights, which we've touched on, but I think the underlying issues of what we've spoken about today have more relevance in the way to...
More relevant in life, 100%. More relevant in life. Boxing, we can make fights and talk about fights all day. But I think, like you say, it's just more about the mind.
I agree. Archie Sharp, thank you very much for talking to IFL TV. Shout out to MTK Global.
Yeah.
And you've got a few sponsors there, haven't you?
Got a few sponsors, yeah, I know. So shout out to the team. The team know they are. They will put their hard work in, and once we'll go there together to the top.
Archie, thank you very much, and we'll definitely catch up with you ahead of your next fight date, which potentially could be at the end of the year, maybe?
Yeah, it could be December.
Could be December,
yeah.
Watch this space.
Watch this space, light work.
Top man. Thank you very much.
No, thank you.